This is a Lord Exultant I got from the Champions of Slaanesh box that I bought in the summer of 2025. I got it for a great price, and I wasn't really planning on building a Slaaneshi army, but it was just so cool and the price was right that I bought it. I was so excited, in fact, that I got home, took it out, and immediately put together this Lord Exultant without any plan. At the time, I was beginning to finally see some real improvement on my painting skills, and that confidence kind of became overconfidence. And I hadn't fully figured out yet that I need to have an idea of what the end result should look like first before I start throwing paint on something. And I think that's pretty obvious now looking at this mini. In fact, I would say this was a big step backwards in my painting skill. And that was for a few reasons. Even though I painted this mini last year, I still remember by the end of it, I was feeling so burnt out, disinterested, that I just couldn't wait for it to be over. It really kind of just looks half finished at this point. Since then, I have learned a lot, practiced a lot, and painted a lot. But every time I brought home a new mini, I could see my Champions of Slaanesh box sitting there on top of the throne of my pile of shame. Towards the end of painting the lion, I knew that I wanted to apply the methodology I had developed to painting the Emperor's children I have. At first, but I decided to put up a post to get my viewers' opinions. I wasn't expecting any participation, but I did get a few people. I was really shocked to see that all of the voters said I should try painting a few noise marines and see how it goes first. So instead of stripping this mini, paint something else first with a similar or maybe different color scheme. About a week after that post, somebody made this comment on a different video with a suggestion that really resonated with me. Essentially, it suggested that I pick a technique or a weak point and focus that mostly on a set or a squad of minis. This couldn't be more perfect of a suggestion because I have a lot of minis to paint with this Champions of Slaanesh box, and I am lacking on a few fundamental techniques when it comes to painting. Now that I have a separate motivation for finishing this box set besides just painting them, I want to improve on techniques. The next part was figuring out a paint scheme. Comparing my first attempt with Games Workshop's official art style, you can see I made a lot of different choices, and I think I figured out the reason behind that. I was an avid Total War player, and my first real experience with the Chaos Gods was through this game. And in that game, Slaanesh is dominated by this hot pink color. So even though I didn't make a plan of how to paint this mini, it must have come through subconsciously from associating this mini with Total War Warhammer 3. Taking a step back, I really needed to figure out how I want my army to look. And the hot pink just really wasn't for me, because in the end, it was too loud. Even though Slaanesh is all about excess, for me, it still has to be enjoyable for me to look at. While thinking about this, I remembered a scene from the book Talon of Horus by Aaron Dembski-Bowden where an Emperor's Children ship emerges from the warp. Its color is described as imperial purple armor plating, bleach burned into ghostly lilac. That description immediately brought to mind this image from Tazmar on DeviantArt. This was the perfect balance between purple and pink that I was imagining for my army. So not only do I have a paint scheme, but I have a wonderful reference to go back to help me figure out the values, the colors, and the shading I need, and where to put them. Using a direct reference was the new step I took with painting the lion, and that's why it's so much better than anything I've painted before. Armed with a reference and with a new color scheme, I needed to decide what technique did I want to focus on, and in the end, that had to be glazing. Glazing is an invaluable technique of blending colors seamlessly, creating very smooth transitions, and it's something that I always rely heavily on airbrushing, but I can't always use the airbrush on small places. With the mini primed, base coated, and washed, I started practicing my glazing. And it's obvious to see that I'm failing horribly at this. I was making two very big mistakes when it came to glazing, and instead of stopping and trying to fix it, I was brute forcing my way through it. After failing to accomplish any progress in actual glazing, I finally stopped, put the mini down, went back to YouTube, and watched a few guides and tutorials on how to glaze properly, something I should have done from the start. This is much better in actual glazing happening. I have proper control on brush pressure, and the amount of liquid and paint on the brush. Also notice that I'm lifting and pushing paint into the direction where I want more of the color. Because I'm using a lighter color, I'm pushing the white paint to where the highlight should be. And that's what's really helping create this glossy effect. Once I felt the shadows and highlights looked acceptable, I moved on to the rest of the mini. The gold, the metallics, the small details, the gun, stuff like that. By the end of painting it all, I came out with this. It's only the first one and far from perfect. I still need to practice a lot more on glazing and other techniques, but I think it's a lot better than my first attempt with the Lord Exultant. I'm much happier with the paint scheme and with the overall technique. But now I've got 19 more of these to paint, so wish me luck. And, as always, follow for more chaos.